I say to never give up on your dream, because you come to find out that sometimes things don't happen as you wish or on time, but it's actually always on time.
Get inspired. Transform your life. Welcome to Best Interest Radio.
All right, so today on the podcast we have Marco, or Thomarcus Nix, but Marco is your nickname, eh?
Yes.
And that's where Marco's clinic comes from.
Exactly.
Yeah. So I met Marco a couple years back, and Marco is a basketball coach, and he's a father now, but he's a lot more than that. He's super inspiring to me, and he works with the youth and makes a big impact in his own way through his passion of basketball. Yes. And we're going to talk a little bit about that, and you can find out more about why I feel that way. And so, Marco, do you want to start by giving us a little bit of a background of where you came from, how you got started?
So I was born in Washington, D.C. Of course, played basketball all my life. It runs in my family. I've had probably, I want to say in my eyes, legends as far as my mother, father, older brothers, and sisters all had scholarships to go play basketball at many different schools and so forth like that.
That's awesome. So it's in your blood.
It just runs in it. So, of course, playing basketball throughout the years, it was kind of something growing up. It was kind of something that I could do. I wasn't raised in a home where I guess you would say very privileged. We were kind of struggling, a lot of moving and so forth. So basketball was kind of the only thing that I could kind of grab and grip, that it would never leave me or let me go. Awesome parents, awesome brothers and sisters. But of course, as moving and of course being the youngest of 6, when you move and so forth, the older stay home. So of course, when they're staying home and they're moving and relocating to different places, the only thing is that you're always giving up on friends and so forth. You're always losing friends. So as soon as you make a friend, you lose a friend. You make a friend and you're trying to remake another friend. So, of course, moving basketball was the only thing that kept me kind of grounded. Throughout the years, I became really good at it. Injured myself in high school. Of course, when I injured myself in high school, I kind of was set back for about 2 to 3 years. I kind of was upset with myself, kind of beat myself up because a person ran up under me when I was going up for a dunk, ran up under me, and fell on my back, and I actually had to have spine surgery. Before then, I had a couple of scholarships to go to pretty big schools, like the University of Georgia Tech was interested because I was living in Atlanta, Georgia at that time. But of course, going on down, I recovered from that. When I recovered from that, I started working at a place called the Department of Homeland Security, which was in Washington, D.C. when I relocated back there. And coming back home, maybe when I was about, I think, 22, somewhere in that area, everyone kept saying, go play basketball, like you should go play basketball. So I got into playing again after sitting out for maybe 4 or 5 years, not really touching the ball or anything. I went back into it and started playing again, and kind of course I should say, rekindle the love that I had. After doing that, I ended up going and playing at this open run, which was at a school. And it was just to go play for fun, to kind of get back into working out and exercising and so forth like that. When I did that, a guy came up to me, which was a coach at the high school that we were playing at, that opened the gym up, came to me and said, are you in school anywhere? And I said, no. At this time, I'm 23 years old, or 22 years old. And I told him, I said, no, I'm not in school. He said, would you be interested? Like, someone would pay for you to go to school. Like, you can go to school for free. And I was like, okay. So, of course, I went back home, told my sisters and so forth like that. And my sister actually said, if you go to school, that I'll pay everything for you. Like, I'll pay and I'll cover your living expenses or anything outside of your scholarship that you need to cover. So I said, okay. So I went back the next week, and this coach was there, Mike Francis, who coached at Access Community College in Baltimore County. He saw me and he told me, offered me basically a tryout. He told me to come to his tryout, which was similar to an open gym as well. I went to that and I played there. While playing there, he offered me a scholarship. One thing I say with that is I say to never give up on your dream, because you come to find out that sometimes things don't happen as you wish or on time, but it's actually always on time, because it happens when it's supposed to happen.
Exactly.
So that was one thing that kind of gave me an eye opener. So of course, when I saw that, I kind of took that opportunity. I went back to school and I played there, did really well. Then transferred to a sister school, which was the Community College of Baltimore County, Dundalk. I played there as well, did pretty good. Then I transferred and was recruited to come to Crandall, which is here right there in Moncton. Playing at Crandall, kind of got there, and basically everything was given to me.
Yeah. Was it your first time in Canada when you came
Yes,
to Crandall?
it was my first time.
Did you have a choice to come to Crandall, or
I did.
Like, you're going to Crandall?
No, I did have a choice. I had a couple of schools that I could have went to, but with me working for the Department of Homeland Security, I was always into traveling. Like, I love traveling, so I was like, who would ever say they had the opportunity to go live somewhere for 3 years? Because I had 3 years of eligibility there. Yeah. So I was like, why not try it?
Sounded fun,
of course, not ever finding or not trying to. I looked up on the map and tried to find out where Moncton was when I was back home in Washington, D.C. And it was kind of, what in the world, like, okay. But when I got here, it was kind of a culture shock, because coming from a big city, it's like you're in the middle of nowhere.
Yeah, especially Moncton.
So it was actually kind of interesting and so forth. But getting here, of course, like I said, I started working at the YMCA. I did very well at school for basketball, and they asked me to come and kind of volunteer and so forth at the YMCA. So I volunteered and worked at the YMCA. And after getting into that, of course, running into children and so forth, I found out that they were very interested in what I was doing, like what I was teaching them. And I found out that there were a lot of children that actually loved the game of basketball here. But I was noticing that there weren't a lot of programs or things like that to develop them and get them better and so forth.
What did you take in school? University?
Psychology and business. So I'm actually in the organizational business management.
Oh, really?
Right now, yeah. So I have 3 more courses of that I'm actually completing. I finished starting back in November.
So I'll pick your brain for advice someday.
Yeah. Yes. So of course, with that, I took that tool, and later down the road, I was working at a place called We Care, where I was working with children that had disabilities and so forth. So that's kind of me, kind of more building to add to my resume when I knew that I was going for psychology. So I did that. And that actually was another shock, because I was witnessing going into homes and so forth like that, where parents were allowing their children to smoke and drink and things like that right in front of their face with friends at a very young age. So that kind of made me step away from that, and I kind of went back to doing what I was doing as far as playing and working at Best Buy, because I worked at Best Buy for a little bit. Coming out of that, I started, and I kept saying through the program, the organizational business management, I started developing, because I knew that I wanted to start working with children, because that's like what my passion was, to work with children. So I started working with children. 2 children that I started working with that went to Trimble was Dan Smith, and then another one was Posse. So I worked with them, developed them, had very good feedback. Worked with Posse for about 3 months over the summer. Then I was contacted, and he was also contacted to come to this North Pole Hoops, which is a really big showcase in this area and across Canada, pretty much, for players to get showcased and show what their talents are and things like that. He was requested to come there. So after doing that, I kind of then said, well, I should take this a little further. And I should kind of try to, see if I can stay here and open up a place for it. Because, of course, at that time, it still wasn't a lot of training and so forth like that going on. A lot of teams, but no one that was actually really good at training and seeing and getting to the children. Because what I found out is that some people that were trying to train, of course, didn't have the background to get through to a child that did not have the, I guess, patience or ability to understand. They needed it broken down a little bit more. So that's one of the things where I go into my business now. If you ever ask people, I use analogies like if you want to shoot for your shooting form, I tell the children, try to reach on top of the refrigerator in the cookie jar. So of course, if you have to reach on top of the refrigerator in the cookie jar, you have to reach up and then reach your fingers down in that cookie jar. So it's the same motion as shooting and flicking your wrist. So that's one of the things that I do and use with children and so forth and players as well to train. But getting into what I'm doing now, I've basically with training and so forth like that and running different camps throughout the Moncton area. I did it out of the Boys and Girls Club, out of the Crandall. I've also did it outside after COVID kind of started. I kind of did it outside for a little bit. Throughout that, I took that money that I made basically for over the 3 years. I took that money and I saved it all. I never paid myself out of it. I actually worked 2 other jobs to cover my bills and so forth because I was trying to open up this business and get a location. So with doing that, of course, through the camps and so forth like that, I always would have children saying, because I could only do it on certain nights and it was limited because I was, of course, renting out facilities to do it. Children would always come to me and say, Marco, when are you going to get your own place so that we can, so that I can do it more on a consistent basis? And I kept always saying, don't worry, it's coming, it's coming, it's coming, it's coming. So, of course, coming around the end of COVID actually helped me out because it gave me time to sit and process and put things together.
It did for a lot of people.
Yeah, a lot of people actually said, like they were tired of sitting in the house, and it was great for me because my son was also born. So with my son being born, I was able to spend time with him and then process and build and so forth. So with that, come August the 3rd, I officially opened up. I started about a month before. I started putting together the process and the place. People always ask about the place or the location that I'm at. I actually looked at the location 2 years ago. 2 years ago. So I looked at it and I kind of held off because I was like, it's not the right time. I just felt like it wasn't the right time. So then I went back into it and of course I ended up getting a place, opened it up, and now it's almost like an indoor park. With concrete and so forth and graffiti and all of that stuff and things like that.
Yeah, I saw it. Looks really cool.
Yeah. So with that, when I first opened up, I ran camps for the first month. Every week I ran weekly camps. And with that, it was amazing because the children actually were coming in, and the ones that had been with me from the jump were coming in and saying, like, you could see the look on their faces, which I think is what was priceless to me. Because they were like, wow, you really did do this. Like, you really did what you said. And a couple of them even came up to me and actually just hugged me and said, thank you for creating a space where I can feel safe.
Wow, that's powerful.
It was pretty crazy, even along with some of the messages that I got on Instagram and so forth. But just being able to do that, and also throughout the process of that first month, running into different children and pulling in more clients that were actually maybe turned away from other organizations or groups and things like that. They were able to come there and experience something that they have never experienced before. And that's just feedback from the parents and so forth and things like that. Because in this area, seems to be I should say almost like a hiccup in whether a child can make a team or whether they're allowed to be trained and what age they can start being trained at and things like that. Whereas I always say, whenever they're ready to start dribbling, why not give them the ball? If that's something that they love to do, give it to them and let them go. Why would we hinder?
That's almost like a good analogy in life on its own. Whenever you're ready to start dribbling, why not give them the ball? Like, and that goes with any project you want to start or whatever. Like, if you're ready to start dabbling into something, just do it. Go for it. Yeah.
We don't stop giving a kid blocks, and then he grows up to be an architect. So why not? The same idea. I feel it works in all aspects of life. Yeah. So of course, with that, it's one of the main things that I do, which is I should say is kind of giving children a place where they can feel comfortable, but not only feel comfortable, a place where they're safe and able to open up, where they don't feel judged, or they don't feel as if, hey, if I go here and I'm not doing well, that maybe someone is going to pick at me, because I announce it every time I have a camp or clinic or so forth, that this is a no judgment zone. There's no room for judgment. There's no room to pick at each other, because we all started at the same place.
Exactly.
When you first came in here, you couldn't dribble. So why would you pick at this person that can't dribble now?
Yeah.
You know, you remember being at that being in that position,
Exactly.
and you know exactly how it feels. So why would you put someone else in that position? But it's been going really good. It's been going really good. We've been open now for going on, 3 months.
Yeah.
I'm hoping that the community supports me so I can stay open. And I think it's a great thing, like I said, for the children because they are the future.
Yeah, exactly.
And if you can give them an opportunity, some people look at it and say basketball is a sport. But I tell people all the time, basketball is something that paid for me through school. Like I was able to go to school for free because of basketball, because of a talent, and that I should say I took on a opportunity. So I think that anybody who is sitting around, if you're listening to this, if you have a child, or you know, it may not even be basketball. It could be football. It could be soccer. It could be racing a car. You know, or being a mechanic. If you ever have a passion, or if you find that a child is very invested in something, to really to stay on top of it and invest. And I feel like as parents, that's what we should do. Yeah. We should invest in our child's well-being, invest in, you know, things that they find an interest in.
Exactly. Yeah. One of the things that stuck out to me about you opening up your physical clinic and seeing you go from just coaching people at different gyms and at different courts and stuff to owning your own place is that that on its own demonstrated to the children that you were working with that, you know, if you have a goal or a dream in mind, it's possible. You just got to keep working towards it. And it's like you provide that example. It's like, see, like I told you I was going to do this. Like you just have to you plant the seed and you just give it time to grow and you give it the right nutrients and give it time, and it'll it'll sprout at the right time, like when it needs to.
Yes.
Yeah, and I see what you're doing. Like, I mean, not even just basketball, any sort of activity where there's coaches helping children elaborate on their passion. It's like a really good way to. It's not even just basketball to me. It's just you're reaching the kids through basketball. And
it's a common interest.
Yeah. Do you find yourself sometimes incorporating life lessons with basketball with the kids?
All the time.
Yeah.
All the time. I like throughout my classes and sessions and things like that. Like I tell children all the time that, you know what, for example, if I'm asking you to do something and I'm giving you a drill to do and I'm asking you to do it and you're doing it half speed, or you're not doing it because you're saying, hey, I don't feel well, or so forth like that. I tell them all the time, if this was a job and you went in and you have performed, what happens? Someone else is either going to take your position, someone else is going to take the promotion, or someone else is either going to, you know, kind of try to see if they can outdo what you're doing. That's what we do in life. Everyone is everything is competitive. Even though we don't look at it that way, everything is competitive because you're always trying to get ahead. And it's not a negative thing. Some people say being competitive is negative. It's not negative at all, because what it does is it teaches us to always strive to be better, or always strive to do better. So when I, for example, have children in there and they're missing a layup, which is so simple, and they're looking on the other end and they see this guy that's making that layup, I tell them, guess what? He wasn't making that layup maybe 2 or 3 weeks ago. He wasn't making that layup, but guess what? He kept doing it. He kept working on it and working on it and working on it. And it's not only just working on it with me, but going home and working on it. You know, and if you apply that to life, if you want something, you have to constantly work on it, and you have to constantly tailor it. You may have to, you know, turn this knob here and turn this knob here to make sure that you get a solid foundation to make sure that what you're doing is working out. But if you're not going to put forth the effort, you're always going to set yourself back, because there's always someone trying to do better than you are.
Exactly. Yeah. And practice and consistency equals progress, and they will end results, I guess. And it's good that in a setting like you provide, I mean, they can see the kids who have been putting the practice in, like they're making those layups and all that. And, you know, it's like, oh, here's an example of what you can do if you put the time in, if you believe in yourself, but if you and really it's just, I see it as competition can be very healthy. I mean, especially if we use it in the right manner. Right. It can be very positive. But, you know, the biggest competition is ourselves.
That's why I say you are always striving to do better. And if you're always striving to do better, you're in competition with yourself. Even though you don't know it, you're always in competition with yourself. The first thing you do is you look in the mirror. I tell people all the time when I'm dealing with older adults, because I also do training sessions with older adults. Sometimes you'll get them and they'll look in the mirror and they'll say, I'm too big or I'm too fat. You're first doing what? You're comparing yourself to who? Yourself. Yeah. So if you look in the mirror and you're saying that, guess what? I don't like what I see or I don't like what I do, and you're striving to do better, you're in competition with yourself, because your mind may be saying, hey, guess what? I'm going to eat this slice of pizza, or hey, guess what? I'm not going to go work out today. But are you going to be consistent and work out? Always compare and tell them, you tell your child to get up and make up his bed every morning. But are you applying that to your life and saying that when you said that you were going to go to the gym 3 times a week, are you getting up out of the bed and going to that gym? When you ask them that in a certain way, they kind of look at you like, but it's the same idea. Like, why are you requiring your child to do that when you're not requiring yourself or holding yourself at the same caliber? And that to me is life, because we're quick to point the finger, but we never say, hey, what did I do? Or how did I do it? Or am I doing what I'm supposed to be doing?
Yeah, exactly.
So, it's like I said, it's all a revolving cycle, and it's basically what you make out of it, or what you decide, or where you decide to go. Because, I was talking with a child last night because, of course, his parent brought him in for a session, and I told him, I've given you the tools. You can choose to go right or left. Yeah. Left will put you maybe, in a good predicament, but it's not going to put you where you want to be at. You've told me where you want to be at, so do you want to go right or left? And I told him, in order to go right, you have to go home and work on these things that I just gave you, because we worked on them here. But if you don't work on them at home, guess what? You come back next week and we have another hour and we're doing the same thing, which is repetitive. Repetitive is not a bad thing, but would you like to get more out of your session? You're wasting time if that's the case, because I've already showed you this. You just have to work on it to get better so that you can evolve to the next level when you come next week. That way you're always learning something instead of doing something over and over.
Exactly.
Yeah.
Wow, that's amazing, man. I just love all the life lessons that you can learn from sports.
Yeah.
I mean, you probably learned so much, like, just through your whole basketball career.
Time management. I tell people all the time, basketball is a really big thing with time management, leadership. If you join a basketball team, you have to be to practice at a certain time. Guess what? If you're not at practice on a certain time, guess what? You're going to run. That's life. Some parents look at that and say, guess what, Thomarcus, you're hardball or so forth. I call it tough love, because at the end of the day, I would rather prepare this child for what I know he's going to run into than to sit here and say, you know what, it's going to be okay. It's going to be okay. And then guess what? He gets to that point in life where he goes into a job and he's late, and his boss writes him up. Did I prepare him for that? Yeah, I prepared him for that, because I didn't hold him accountable when he came into practice late.
Yeah. Hey, you know what? That's also another analogy. I love that, preparing the children for what they're going to run into. Yeah. And it's like, it's the same with life. Like, us as parents, our job is to prepare our kids for what they're going to run into, so that they have the best tools to equip the bumps and the obstacles that that occur on the road and the path that they take. And basketball is actually, or any sport, is an example of that, because what do you do as a coach? You're preparing the players to prepare what they're going to run into in a game situation. Yes. And they're going to, teach them practice makes perfect, or not even practice makes progress. It doesn't make perfect. You have to, you strive for perfection and you embrace excellence, which I think is a Vince Lombardi quote. And it's really a quote. So it's like, perfection doesn't even exist. It's just like an idea that we have in our minds, but we have to strive for perfection and embrace excellence, which means that being okay with whatever result and just giving it your all. And I mean, I really love that. Just like
so many
the kids for
so many. I even tell parents all the time, dealing with stress, because I have certain children that come in that have that maybe have dealt with fetal alcohol syndrome, or they've dealt with autism or so forth like that. And with them facing that on a daily basis, I tell them all the time that I've had children that come and the parent says, for example, I always like to say, making up the bed. A parent will say, hey, I want such and such to make up his bed when he gets up in the morning. And I say, okay, he won't do it. But he'll come to my session and I'll say, dribble around this cone, dribble around that cone, then come back. That's the same idea as making up his bed in the morning. Yeah. But you know what the difference is? Is that he's either not so much to say forced by me, but he's motivated in the correct way by me.
Yeah. Oh,
so go
that's
and
the
do
key
that.
Right there. Yeah.
So I try to teach the parents that, guess what? How are you motivating that child to do it? Are you giving them an example? Sometimes I have the children, they're going through the drill slow. Yeah. And I'll say, guess what? Whoever was going the hardest, you're going to get a free Gatorade.
Yeah.
Everyone then dials and turns up very, very high. And now it's like, okay, I'm going because I want to get that Gatorade.
Yeah.
But what I also do is I use that as a life lesson, because I go back and I say, after you get this Gatorade, if you slow down, are you not pushing yourself? Because you just showed me what you could do. Mm-hmm. So if you showed me that you were capable of going at this speed and this rate, why is it now that there's nothing on the line that you're giving up? Is it mentally, or is it the fact that you're just saying that I don't want it that bad? Because you told me you wanted it that bad. Yeah. So if you wanted it that bad, there shouldn't be nothing. You shouldn't need anything to motivate you. But I use it as a tool, because they then look and say, yeah, now I can't cheat the system. You're right, you can't cheat it, because you just showed me what you had in the tank.
Yeah.
So, it's things like that you use to help push and motivate them in certain ways.
That's awesome, man. And it gets them to see, it's like an aha. That's what we're trying to do with children, is create those aha moments, right?
Exactly. That light bulb flips and then it goes. And it's a big thing, because sometimes you put them in a situation that is very stressful. I tell people that basketball also prepares and puts you in stressful situations, because let's say you're going and you're in a game and it's the fourth quarter and you're down 3. What is the team doing? They're all stressed. Yeah. Because they're saying, oh my gosh, I want to win. I want to win. I want to win. That there is teaching them how to overcome stress in life. Yeah. A lot of people don't look at that, but it's teaching them and it's prepping them for that. When you're tired and you're dribbling and you're going through those drills and you're saying, I can't make it, and I'm sitting there in your ear saying, you're hungry. I know you're hungry, because you told me that you wanted this. You told me that you want to get to the next level. So guess what? In the fourth quarter, when everyone else is tired, what are you going to do? Yeah. Like, where are you going to show up? Yeah. And that, of course, motivates them to say, no, I got to go harder. I got to stay with it. It applies. Guess what? You flip it over in life. It's the same idea. So, never give up.
So, Marco, you probably know this very well. Can you tell us what happens in the fourth quarter of a basketball game? Everyone's tired. Everyone's stressed out. The clock's ticking, and you want to win this game. How do you win the game? What does the team have to do?
I find and say that basketball teams everyone has a role. Yeah. A lot of people don't believe that, but everyone has a role. When you have a role, you have to play your role. So at the end of the game, you're more the fact you want to look for that person that that is maybe shooting at a higher percentage or has a higher percentage of scoring. Mm-hmm. It's just like, for example, if you have an obstacle, you want to put the best person in that particular part of that obstacle course to make sure that you get through it as quick as possible. Yeah. So with that, most of the time with me, not to toot the horn, but most of the time with me, the ball came to me at the end of the game. If we needed a bucket or if we were trying to score, it came to me. And it's actually one of the things that have set me up for not only success, but it's taught me a lot, because it's allowed me to process and read things very quickly. Yeah. So a lot of people always say that I'm very quick to, like, I can give you very quick feedback, or I can give you a quick response, or I'm really quick on my feet. It's because with basketball, you have to also be able to maneuver throughout obstacles, but you're also learning how to deal or how to stay calm under a stressful situation. Yeah. After you've been in that situation so many times, it's like when stress comes at you, you're kind of looking at it saying, yes, okay. Yeah. I just need to figure out, I need to figure out how to get through this. It's a way to get through it, but how do I get through it? And I feel like in the fourth quarter, being in basketball and playing it for so long, that's kind of taught me in life how to deal with that, how to deal with the stress, and how to maneuver and apply it properly, I should say. So
during the fourth quarter, when everyone's stressed, is it easier when you guys motivate each other?
Yeah, it is, but sometimes
it's hard to get that motivation.
Me, I'm more the fact when I was playing, I would always tell people, I would say, listen, y'all, we okay. Like, we're okay. Like, you have those that are freshmen that come in and they're saying, "Oh my gosh," you can see their ants in the pants, kinda. And I'm always the type that just like, it's okay, you know. Yeah. If you have to take that shot, take that shot. And if I pass you the ball, you feel comfortable taking that shot. That's one of the other things I would always tell. If I pass you the ball, feel comfortable taking it. And if they don't, you know, if you don't make the shot, the first thing you do is not drop your head, because guess what? At that point in time, it's a lesson. You learn to overcome that, you know, that obstacle. If you make the shot, guess what? You're going to jump up and down. So why would you throw your head down if you miss it? You know, it's
you miss a shot, you keep your head up and look for the next one.
Exactly. Because I tell people all the time, you never know if it's going in. I mean, you you feel it as a basketball player, you feel it, but you never know before it leaves your hand if it's going in or not. Yeah. You know, you never, like, you feel comfortable, don't get me wrong. I would always feel comfortable and say, yeah, that's going in. But you never really know. Like, we can't decide that.
I think that's another good lesson incorporated with basketball games, that especially during the fourth quarter, it's crucial to understand each other's roles and to recognize each other's roles. Yes. And that goes with, like, us as humans, like, you know, playing our role and understanding what we're best at and showing up and being that best version of the role that we chose ourselves and the role that we've been working on, and being there and ready for your teammates, ready for your family, ready for your friends whenever they need you to step into the plate to take that shot at a crucial moment in time.
Also helping your pride.
Yeah, and it just goes to show, like, some of us are during stressful times, some of us can't handle it, some of us are fresh and new into it, and they, you know, we don't know what to do with ourselves, and the ones who have been there longer, you know, we're here to lift each other up and ground them during these tough times, whether it's a basketball game, whether it's COVID or a financial stress, or an
older person giving you wisdom.
Yeah, exactly.
It's the same idea.
Or anything, you know, we're all here to, like, you know, those who are stronger in one area are there to help those who are weaker in one area. Yes. I like to use the analogy of, you know, like, just exactly that. So if we're stronger in one area than someone else, it's our job, I believe, to carry the load that they can. Because what happens when we're carrying, like, you know, if you're a big bodybuilder and you can lift like 400 pounds just like a football under your arm walking, and then there's a weak person next to you and they have even just 200 pounds and they can't move, they're holding that weight, they literally can't move. What are you going to do? If you can take the extra 100 pounds for them so that they can get up and walk, you should do that, because then they're going to be able to get up and walk even though they carry less weight, and then
you both made it.
Yeah, and then they're going to just get stronger as they carry a little bit of weight. That's what we're all here for.
That's it. That's what prepping them to get across that finish line.
Exactly.
Yes.
Yeah, and I just love, like, sports and stuff. And even, like, you know, I'm in a band, and band provides life lessons too. I mean, I always joke and say it's like being in a four-man relationship. Like, I'm learning, like, relationship skills. I'm learning, like, community. I'm learning communication, cooperation, like everything, like anything that we do, we can learn all sorts of lessons to it. And that's why, like, I believe it's so important for each of us as individuals to follow what we're passionate about and follow what we love, because we're going to be fulfilled, and it's going to drive our actions like no other. And there's a story I heard, I don't even remember the names of who this was, but it was a guy who was a very successful law firm somewhere in Canada, and he like lots of money and he and it was super successful, and he ended up going under, and it turns out, like, he originally picked that job because it was safe, and it ended up going under. And he said that you know, it just goes to show that, like, even when you pick something that you might deem as quote unquote safe, like a safe choice, it's not actually, because it can still fail, it can still go under. So you might as well do something that you're going to love, that you're going to be passionate about, that you're going to feel like you're fulfilling your role in the world. And that'll drive you to be a better human. That'll help other people feel better.
And it's funny because a lot of people always say, like, did you plan to do this from, like, if you've been playing this for your whole life? And I'm like, no. Like, my first thought, like, my parents always say that I should have gone to probably been a lawyer, because I'm really good at debating and stuff like that. But then again, also in my family, we're always debating and stuff. It's good debates though. Good
Yeah,
debates.
oh, yeah.
But getting into that, and then I've also had people that say that, yeah, you should go and be a teacher, because of course, when I used to be an EA, a lot of the teachers would say, yes, like you should be a teacher because you're great with the children and so forth. But I always look at it and say, I chose the path that I chose because it's a common interest. Like, I have a passion. I love basketball. If I can get someone else to love it and see what I've seen out of it, and the kind of benefit and pull what I've pulled from it, like even just the thought of speaking in front of crowds. Yeah. Like, a lot of people don't know, but your stage frightness goes away, because when you're playing basketball and you're playing on a team, you're playing in front of groups of people all the time, like large groups of people. Yeah. So when you're doing that, it's prepping you for life. Mm-hmm. Because guess what? If you ever have to go on an interview and you have to speak in front of someone, it helps with your communication skills, because guess what? You have to communicate within your team. Just like you said, you have to communicate within your band. Exactly. You have to be able to say, guess what? I voiced this opinion. Are you going to accept it? You learn it how people accept it. You learn that you have to deal with people differently. Yeah. Just because you go to one band member or I go to one teammate and speak to them one way doesn't mean that I can go to the next teammate and speak to them or present it to them that same way. And I tell people, with that passion that I have, I felt like I was very good at it, and I felt that I could share that with children because I was pretty good at getting through to people. Mm-hmm. And it takes a lot to be able to get through to people, but also it takes a lot of patience to work with children. And a lot of people don't understand that. They're very quick to just brush them off, or as they say now, they told me when I was younger that I needed to be on Ritalin. Mm-hmm. And it wasn't the fact that I needed Ritalin or anything to calm me down. It's just that maybe I was hyper. Maybe I had a lot of energy and I wanted to express it in a certain way. So, I look at all of those things and I say, going back in life, I say that it's only up to you to decide which way you want to go. If you're a child, if you're an adult, if you're, just running around and you're trying to figure out like, hey, what should I do? Or, hey, what is something that I can be effective in? Don't choose something that someone, I should say, kind of nominated you as. Go in what you really believe. There's a lot of people like, I found it very interesting because the guy that did the artwork, Kobe, he did the artwork in my facility. And, with him doing graffiti and things like that and doing tattoos and stuff, that's a form of art. Mm. But, some people would look at that and say, if my child wanted to do that, no, he can't do that. I don't want him doing, art and so forth and things like that, because they find and say that, oh, it doesn't pay enough. Mm-hmm. But if that child is so creative with that talent, what's to say that the money is the true value out of that? Maybe the value out of that is making that person happy. Because I tell people all the time, people say, hey, your prices aren't high. Yeah, your prices aren't high. You're right, they aren't high, because that's not my value out of it. My value is seeing that child come in and he's smiling, he's happy, even though he may have had a bad day earlier. Yeah. When he came into the gym, he's smiling and happy to see me. Yeah. And he's saying, Marco, Marco, or she's saying, Marco, Marco. Or if I walk through the door, they're smiling just because, they see me and they read that energy or feel that energy that I'm presenting and throwing off to them. Yeah. So I look at it and say that, like you say, some people say that, oh, or if someone is listening to this and they're feeling and saying, hey, my parents told me that, don't do this because it doesn't make enough money. That's not the reason to do things in life. Mm-hmm. And if we all lived that way, we'd all probably be doing something that we didn't want to do. Yeah. Like,
and that just goes to show money can't buy happiness.
No.
Money is a form of value. It's interesting. We might live through life thinking that money will be exchanged for the value of happiness, but it never will. I mean, the true happiness that we'll ever get is with family, relationships, community, belonging, and the sense of purpose. Yeah. And the sense of purpose is doing something that you love.
Yeah. When you die, where does the money go? Yeah. I tell people all the time, sorry to say it like that, but when you die, where does the money go?
Exactly. Yeah. You leave here with what you came with. So you might as well just fulfill your heart with the treasures of your heart, right?
Yes.
Yeah.
Exactly.
And I don't remember where I was going with that. But
no.
Anyway, what I wanted to say to add to all this is the competition. I wanted to go back to that because for me, I like healthy competition. I come from a competitive family.
Yeah.
My family was football players and stuff, and then growing up, I was actually like a competitive video game player.
Okay.
Like I went to like an MLG tournament and played Halo 3.
Okay.
I like flew to Toronto for a tournament and stuff, so I've always been competitive.
That's cool though.
Funny enough, like I know what you mean by like being under stress, because like even though you're playing video games, like I'm at this tournament and there's like gamers like yelling everywhere, and like you're like playing with these gamers across the street and they're like talking crap at you, and like you have to like maintain composure while you're like playing this game, and like they're talking crap at you. But I through all these things I've learned the biggest competition is ourselves. But I appreciate the fact that there's just accepting that there's always going to be someone better than you, because that's good. You can either take that in a negative way or you can take that in a positive way.
Yes,
because you can let it bring you down in the sense oh, they're better than me, or you can let it kind of fuel you and be like, they're setting an example of what you can do. Right. They're just providing you like, hey, you can do this, Jordan. You can do this, Marco. Yeah. Just like, here is the example. I mean, if you're going to be a swimmer, who's the world's number one swimmer you're going to look up to? Michael Phelps.
There you go.
You're going to look to Michael Phelps and you're going to see what he did. You're going to he's going to be the example, you know, and then you can try to do better than him, but also just being okay with not, just like having fun in the process.
It's also the idea of, if he's paved the way, why not look at some of the avenues that he took? Learn from that. Some people don't understand that when you find someone that's better than you, that's why we have mentors. Yeah. That's what mentors actually should be. They should be people that are better than us. We shouldn't really. Why would you go get a mentor that is either, not to say below you, but is not striving for maybe the same thing that you are striving for, or in the same avenue? Yeah. Like, it's not to say that it has to be, you have to go get a mentor that is better than you in music. It may be a mentor that is better than you just business wise, and you know that he has the right plans and the right things, and he did things the right way to get successful in the way that he took, to get to where he is. And if you are a business owner and you're saying, hey, I'm going to put my pride down for a second and say, guess what? I understand that you're very good at what you do. Can you help me? A lot of people don't do that nowadays. Their pride is in the way, and it's like, I'm not going to admit to you that you're better or that you did this a better way than me. It's not to really say they're better than you. It's just to say that you took you had maybe less mistakes. You made less mistakes getting to where you want to be than I did. And I find that one thing to be another thing that hits people on the head, because people are pride. They put their pride in the way, and instead of that, you should be looking at that and saying, guess what? I'm going to open up to accept from this other person. We don't want to help as much. It's not a given. It's not a normal thing to help nowadays. Yeah. Everyone wants to either say, hey, do it on your own, or laugh at you for not being able to do it. We're not all built the same. We don't have all the same strengths. So if we were able to just kind of connect and say that, hey, we would help each other where one is weak, then we could probably be more successful. The world would be a better place. It would be like a trickle effect. Where
that's what I was just thinking. Like, mentorship and coaching is literally just like a trickle effect. Like, it's one person holding the hand of another and picking them up off the ground, and ends up being this never-ending circle. People picking each other up. Yes. If we all do that, but part of that is also accepting help from others too. Right?
Exactly.
Because it's okay to ask for help. It's okay to accept help.
There you go.
And it takes humility and courage to do so.
And that's picked at upon most of the time now. It's because most of the time it's just like I remember in school, and sometimes it still is now. You'll have a child sitting in the classroom, and I do this in basketball all the time when I have my classes. I'll sit and I'll say, did you understand that? Does anybody need me to show this move again? And you can see on the faces of some of the players, they're like, yeah, I want you to show it again. But they're looking around saying, I don't want anyone to know that I can't do it. And I say to them, I say, listen, we're all here. Like, we're going to help each other. If there's someone that does know how to do it, and you see the person behind you or that's in front of you and they're not doing it correctly, let's help them. That's what we're here for. You were helped by me. Now it's your time to help someone else. And not only through that, you make a friend. Exactly. It's just that simple to be able to open up and say, hey, I need help. And I stress that a lot, because you get, like I said, you get the children come in there and they're picked at. They're picked at in school for raising their hand because they were told that was a dumb question. But I always say, who said that was a dumb question? Like who nominated and said that, hey, those are dumb questions. Let's put those in the dumb book. Yeah. No one did. Exactly. So how is there ever a dumb question? You know, if you don't know it and I know it, that doesn't mean you're dumb. It just means that maybe you never ran into that situation. And I tell people in basketball, you maybe never ran into that situation. Someone that's been playing basketball for 10 years is going to have ran into more situations in basketball and maybe even prepped more to handle situations in life better than you, because guess what? They've faced more. It's the same as a 70-year-old man. He's faced more in life. If he's faced more in life, why couldn't you go to him and ask him for advice? Our parents tell us not to touch the stove. We go touch the stove because what? We said that, we thought that they didn't know what they were talking about. Yeah. You burn your hand.
Yeah. Oh, that could be a whole other conversation. Sometimes we can intellectually know and learn anything, but sometimes we don't truly know until we actually experience it for ourselves and learn the hard way, right?
Yes,
I guess that's just part of life, and that's kind of where we're here for each other, like during those times.
Yeah.
But yeah, Marco, it sounds like you said that people said you'd be a teacher and all that stuff. It sounds like you've incorporated everything that you
wanted to
been told or wanted to be into one formulated package of having Marco's clinic and coaching people basketball. Because I mean, even you yourself, going back to the mentorship and the coaching and showing people what's possible. I mean, you're showing people that you don't need to make the NBA. You can just follow what you're having fun doing. Yeah. And you can get a scholarship and go to school.
And I have a child. It's amazing. I had a parent that reached out to me and told me about their child that said before he started working with me, he didn't know what in the world. He didn't have no idea, no thought process on what he wanted to do in life. And he went home after coming to a couple of my camps. He went home and he told his mother. He said, I know what I want to do. I want to do what Marco's doing. I just want to make it and play at a college level. And if I don't make it to the NBA, I want to help children and help people like he's doing.
Man, you know what, Marco? I think you're doing something more rewarding than the NBA, honestly.
Yeah, I agree.
You're reaching the kid. It's like you've like gone beyond that, man.
I agree.
Honestly, like there's probably people in the NBA that want to do things like that you do. But, so. That's freaking awesome, that you're able to contribute to that. And I actually remember what I was going to say earlier, and I was going to say it has to do with like the following your passion and stuff and the money and the value thing. It's there's whatever it is that you want to do, whether it's art, music, sports, basketball, video games even, look to somebody else who has done it, and ultimately you'll see that the people who are actually passionate about it, the people who put the time in and put the practice in and put the effort in, they actually do make money from what they love doing. They actually do. You just have to have that drive. You have to have that will and the motivation. But the example's there. So even if it's like art or graffiti or whatever, I literally know people. You go to a music festival and you see artists that are literally just painting, like live painting, and that's how they make their living. There's so many different avenues.
You see that in the U.S. all the time. Yeah. Right on the side of the road. Yeah. Painting people as they're walking by and then selling it.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah. And that's a beautiful thing. Yes. So whoever's listening to this, just follow. Hopefully this is motivation to follow.
That's why I said, because I had a feeling if someone is listening, a lot of people sit at home and they try to figure out, I don't know what to do. I don't know what to do. You know what to do. Yeah. You know exactly what to freaking do. Yeah. Just go do it. That's the thing. It's just go do it. Nike says just do it. Yeah. It's literally just like that. Just go do it. Yeah. I mean, of course, you can't jump out there. You have to plan and you have to prep and you have to prepare. But just go do it. If you have a job that you've been working and you don't like that job that you've been working, guess what? It's time for you to wake up and say, guess what? I need to sacrifice. So maybe instead of coming home and sitting on the couch watching a movie or so, maybe you say that, guess what? I'm going to go home and I'm going to take an hour and put into investing into what I want to do. Yeah. It's just that simple, and it's kind of way, like I said, at the end of the day, if you're not successful with it, it's like I tell myself all the time when people ask me, if my business shut down, I wouldn't be hurt and I wouldn't be mad. I would be bothered because I would have now, of course, hurt a lot of children because of them wanting to come and, work with me and so forth. Yeah. But I would be happy because guess what? I know, And I know for a fact I affected and changed a lot of children's lives. Whoever, whether it's children, and I can't even say just children, because I have older that come through. I've affected their lives. Whether even it's been parents, I've affected their lives in different ways. Yeah. And that is amazing. Like, that's what I tell people, that you can't get what you get with me. You can't get anywhere else, because the effect that I have on people is, I'm sorry to say it, but I'm very confident in saying it's amazing.
Yeah. That's powerful, man. I hope a lot of people look to you for inspiration so that they can start to do their own thing and work with people like you do, because and like kind of step out of their comfort zone to do that. Yeah. And it goes to show, like, me as a musician, or like, you know, anybody does public speaking, or anybody wants to help anyone, like, if you help just one person, like, your job is done. Like, you don't need to reach the world, you just gotta help one person. It's a ripple effect. When you make a positive impact on someone's day, it spreads around. They're going to be happy and nice and positive to somebody else in their life. Just as, like, if you're mean to somebody, then they're going to be in a bad mood, mean to somebody else. Like, so, you know, pay it forward, the ripple effect. Yes. I always say the first thing to do is to greet them with a smile. Yeah. You know, that's one thing I always say when someone comes in my door. First thing I'm doing is smiling. I always smile. And that affects people. Yeah. Because when you're smiling, no matter what, I always say it's hard to argue with someone that's smiling. Like, you think about it. If you had something negative to say and someone was smiling at you, like, if you're angry, it's going to make you angrier. But if you just walked in and you're having a bad day and the first thing you saw somebody smiling, what do you do? You smile back. Exactly, yeah. So even if you're having a bad day, I've been there, man. Like, someone smiles at me, you smile back, and then you're kind of like, before you're like, oh, I'm grumpy, and then like, and then you smile back, and, you know, you break a smile, and then you're like, why don't I smile? Like, there you go. What's the big deal? You go. Yeah. On top of that, you know, look at people, try to look at them without judgment, and treat everybody with respect equally, you know, because you don't know where they've been, you don't know how bad their day was when they woke up. Exactly. You know what they're dealing with underneath, so just kind of look at it from that level. Yes. And I was gonna say earlier, it's kind of funny too. Like, you followed your passion. You happened to go just play basketball for fun, and you ended up getting a scholarship. So it's like, you know, somebody just noticed you. So if you know, you could be playing music, somebody might notice you. Want to start a band or whatever, or just even giving them motivation to tell you that you can go further with that. It's like, hey, like, you're a good singer. Like, you should follow this. You should do this. Like, just really just follow. And it's just you hearing that will motivate you and say, okay, maybe I should try that. Yeah. You know, so, you know, everything that we're talking about in this episode is literally the number one secrets to success. And if you read any, like, self-help book or success book, they all talk about the things that me and Marco are talking about here. So, like, you know, this is real. This is the real deal of life. If you want to be successful in your business or your career, or your passion, like, this is the stuff. And I know it was supposed to be basketball, but I always tell people that when I say basketball is, it's more than basketball for me, because it's more than dribbling a ball. Even though you may see me dribbling a ball, you may say you're good at it and so forth. It's more than that, because basketball has opened up a lot of doors. And when I'm saying a lot of doors, I'm saying mentally, physically, life-wise. Like, I'm in a whole nother country because of basketball. Yeah. Like, just to think about that. I'm in another country because of basketball. That's amazing, man. You know, that, of course, helps out in life, because I always tell people, the more you travel, the more that you get out of your comfort zone, the smarter you become. Mm-hmm. Because you witness, you see more. Yeah. Like, if I sent someone from here to the U.S. to D.C., they would come back 10 times smarter. Oh, yeah. Just from being there for a week, maybe, because of the things that they would see, the things that they would run into, the changes that they would have to make. Yeah. You know, here I see all the time, I tell people all the time, everyone here, they leave their door wide open. If you came back home where I was at, you would never leave your door wide open. Exactly. But you know what? That would make you smarter, because you would not be one of those people that would have your car broken into or have someone coming in your house. You know, there was a time when you had a lot of people going in the cars and stuff. And I used to tell people all the time, no one never go into my car. You know why? Because my door's always locked. But you know why I learned that? Because I grew up in an area, and I grew up in a place where, you know what, you were taught, lock your door. Yeah. So, you know, it's just get going all your to grounds different covered. Yeah. Prepare you for what's going to come. That's right. Yeah, you're going to different places and you experience different things. Yeah, man. And no growth happens within your comfort zone. No, that's for sure. It's like, if an artist is always looking at, in their backyard, you can only feel inspiration to paint what they see. So, I mean, same with your life. The more you experience, the more you learn, the more you go beyond where you currently are.
Mm-hmm.
Like that is how you expand. That's how you grow. That's how you create new things. That's how you have exciting new experiences and keep life interesting.
Right.
Yeah, man.
Yeah.
So is there one thing, or maybe more than one thing, that you'd like to leave the listeners with today? Anybody who's listening? Any inspiration, advice for the youth?
I really would say that, like, if anything, like never be afraid to follow your dreams, even if it may not look possible. At least step out there and try it, because it's nothing like being able to say I tried it. It's a lot of people say I wanna, and my father used to say that to me all the time. Nothing comes to a sleeper but a dream. And it was very funny because I always took when he said it, and I always said, you always hear people say, I'm going to do this, I'm going to do this, I'm going to do this, but do they ever go and actually do it? And that's one thing that my father would say to me all the time, like, there's nothing comes to a sleeper but a dream. And he would say it so funny and so vague. And I would always look at him and say, man, that is so deep. Like, it's nothing that comes to a sleeper but a dream, because if you're sleeping, you're sleeping on the next man, and that next man is working. And if you're going to continue to sleep, you're not going to get where you want to be at. So my thing is that I would leave you all with is saying that if you see something, or if you have a feeling that you want to do something and you are really passionate about it, not something that you just woke up and said, oh, I want to do this, but something that deep down, like people love dogs. They love walking dogs. Why not start your dog walking business? There's people that will pay you to walk their dog.
Literally.
Why not go out and chase that avenue of revenue for your passion? That way that you're always walking around happy. If you're walking dogs every day, you're happy. You love doing that. So just, if anything that you can do, chase your dreams.
Yeah, and start now. There's nothing to wait for.
Oh, no.
Anything else but that is just a limiting belief.
Yes.
So,
it's never too old for anything. 50-year-olds go back to school.
Yeah, exactly.
Yep.
No better time than the present.
That's it.
Yeah, even if you're a singer or want to play an instrument, any
blow
age,
your vows.
Any age.
Yeah.
So thanks so much for coming on the show, Marco. I'm gonna leave all your links in the show descriptions. So people can find you and all your social media.
Yes. Oh, Marco's Clinic. Yes. Yeah, you could follow Marco's Clinic on Instagram, and then it's Marco's Clinic 2017 on Facebook. Yeah. The website is www.hooperscheatcode.com. Not ca.com.
Hooper's cheat code, is that like...
Yes, that is my cheat code. So some of you that listen to this, you probably got a little bit of my cheat code today. But outside of that, I would... you'll see more of it. Of course, there's a lot more that I want to do with my business and so forth here in this area.
That's awesome.
It's not finished yet. Hopefully it's not. I don't think so.
Anyways, I'm excited for the impact you're making on the youth. We need more people to step up to the plate and do that. I just interviewed a guest yesterday, and we talked all about lifting up the youth and kind of they're the seeds that we need to nourish. So thanks very much, man.
Yes, thank you.